Welcome back, everybody, to the Breakdown Podcast YouTube channel. My name's Corey, and with me once again to help me break down the latest episode of Superman and Lois, it's Vic.
What's up, everybody?
Before we get started, we do want to let you know we have a live show we do every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/MillerKing_51. Come by, join the chat, hang out with us. And currently we're talking Obi-Wan as well as The Flash. So join the chat and let us know what you thought of those shows. And have some fun with us. If you can't join the show live, we do have the episodes available on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. And while you're here, too, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell for notifications, and leave some comments and let us know what you thought of Superman and Lois. So without further ado, Vic, let's break down Superman and Lois.
This week's episode, World War Bizarre. This episode is basically keying on the fact that the Parasite, which they finally named her, or actually just keep referring to her abilities, Ali Alston has flown into the in-between, and she is pulling the worlds together. And in doing so, it's starting to cause issues on Earth Prime, which is where Superman and Lois live. They're seeing like flickers and flashes of this new world. The sun of Bizarro World, the square sun of Bizarro World, has become visible in the sky, starting to head to merge into our sun, and everyone is freaking out. They use the orange filter on the entire episode almost once they proclaim that, but everyone is just freaking out, and the DoD is doing what they normally do, which is trying to explain away the situation and trying to gaslight the people. Meanwhile, Chrissy and Lois are like, no, we need to tell them the truth. Like, we can't lie to these people. We need to let them know that they are in danger.
I have to say this.
They end up going to the public with what's going on.
In terms of the worlds merging, I don't like what's going on.
No, not at all.
From a writing story-wise, because here's what's going on. They say that they're taking the two worlds and merging them together.
Yep.
But really what is going on is this world, the Earth we know, is disappearing and being taken over by this one. Yeah. It's not merging.
It doesn't make sense. And they do go into a little bit of like, they try to kind of explain it away a little bit towards the end. But like...
And not only that, they're talking about when the people show up and they meet their person, that person on our Earth is gonna
just cease to exist, right?
Yeah. So you're not merging the two. It's not merging the two. Yeah, it's just taking over.
It doesn't make sense.
So what's the point?
The whole thing, I'm like, why are they doing it this way? Like, I understand they're trying to merge the worlds, but then they're like, yeah, well, when they merge, everyone from Bizarro World will just take over, and then they'll see. But why? If the worlds are merging, why is it that Bizarro World is that much more tangible or stronger than everybody else on this world when we know they're not? Because it took Ali, like, the only reason why Ali is able to have powers is because they needed her Ali here. But Superman defeated their Superman, so it's obvious that they don't necessarily have to lose. Why does Earth Prime have to lose? It doesn't make any sense.
And not only that, it's like, okay, if you're separated, you're just as normal. Right. Everybody is pretty much on the same level. Then you're going to, what we're saying is, take over the other Earth. Now you're just, everybody's normal still.
Well, no, because once they merge, they're supposed to all become superpowered. And that's what doesn't make any sense, because Bizarro World, the people in Bizarro World don't have powers. It's not like everyone's running around flying around like Superman. Like, they have their versions of them, their backwards version of them, but the people, the general public in that world, are just people, just like on Earth Prime. So when they merge, there should be a 50-50 chance that the person that merges, that comes out of that, could be from our world or theirs. It doesn't make any sense. On top of that, the people from Bizarro World don't like Ali Alston. Like, there's still people there that are fighting against her, so it doesn't make sense that, we merge the world and automatically you just lose. It's.
And I have another note. Now, I'm going to set this up. I have not watched the latest episode of Flash yet. Have you?
No.
Okay. Now here's what we don't know. Prior to the season starting, we don't know what year this is set in. Now, the only thing we can kind of figure out is that Diggle has shown up
right
in this last season, so you kind of have an idea that it's the same time period as the Flash.
right
If
because
that's
they
the
talk about the
case,
fact that Diggle has that when Diggle's there, like that he's still working for
he's still
Argus.
looking for.
Well, he's still working
Yeah,
for Argus and the technicians at Argus. And if I remember correctly, he brings up the fact that
he's in Metropolis.
well, not only that, but he brings up the fact that he's moved to Metropolis.
Yeah,
And because of that, we know that he is in the same timeline as Arrow and as Flash because he, at the end of Arrow, he told everyone he was moving to Metropolis. So
yes.
they're all it's all intertwined. It's definitely
so
the
if
same
it's
time frame.
and if that's the case,
Where the hell are all the other superheroes?
why is this not happening on Flash? I mean, this is a pretty big event.
Every single time they do something like this on these shows, where the hell are all the other superheroes? And these guys are all supposed to be friends. They're all supposed to be close. Like if there's an emergency, if you, we haven't gotten to it yet, but this is gonna be disjointed. But I have to say this: if you have a superhero that needs help and has become incapable of stopping the bad guy, you usually call for help. And yes, you have another hero there in John Henry and his daughter, but the main superhero is down. You got the second string in the game. You should probably be calling for the ringer, which is whoever you can get to come and help you, which Flash should be one of them that shows up, considering they're all supposed to be best friends.
Well, Flash called Black Lightning.
Yeah.
Earlier in the season.
Exactly.
So we should be seeing something going on here. We're not seeing that. So, that's just one of my. It's not necessarily a nitpick. I think it's greater than a nitpick.
The problem is whenever you make shows that purposefully incorporate other shows into their storytelling, then you need to make sure that storytelling carries across all of the shows when something major like your worlds are merging with somewhere else comes into play. Because if in every place on Bizarro World there is an equal place on Prime World, then everything should be being affected. There should be, square coffee cups in Center City. So and Star
exactly.
and everywhere else. So, but anyway, I got ahead of myself.
No.
John, Clark wakes up and he's like, I want to go home. So she takes him home. He gets there and he's like tripping up the stairs because he has no power. Basically what she did is she pulled every bit of yellow sun energy out of his cells. So he is basically a human again, which we found out. And he's like, I don't know how to fix this. I need to get to the Fortress of Solitude. And Jordan's like, I don't want to do that. I don't know how to land. I don't know if I can even fly that far. Like that. This is a big no for me, dog. And she's like, it's fine. We'll call John Henry.
Okay, I have a bit of an issue here because we've already seen that there's two suns now, right?
Uh-huh.
And on Bizarro World, it was their square sun that powered that Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So couldn't you say that sun powers this Superman now?
No. Because they have a red sun and we have and Prime has a yellow sun. Yellow sun gives him power. Red sun reduces his powers. It drains his powers.
Okay, fair enough.
Which still does not explain why after being we'll get to it. I'm about to jump again because it's driving me nuts. Anyway, so he's like, I need to go to the Fortress of Solitude. I'm like, you're gonna freeze to death. Like you can't survive in the Arctic like this. And he had no coat on, and John Henry just flew him to the Fortress of Solitude. He talked to his mom, and she's like, yeah, you need to recharge. You'll be fine, but like you just don't have you have no power. Like, and he's like, well, I didn't manifest my power till I was like 4 years old. So if that's the case, it took 4 years for him to build up enough of a UV charge to actually activate his powers. Is it going to take that long for him to reactivate? Because
he's older now, so it would even take longer than that. I don't know, because he's got more body.
Because the battery's bigger, you would think it would need more charging.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. he finds this information out and he goes back and he's like, there's nothing we can do. In the interim, Lana has found out what's going on, and of course everybody in that town is in that stupid diner again, and they're all like, I don't know what to do, this is ridiculous, because they're looking at one old black and white TV that's sitting on the counter. I'm like, who even has one of those anymore? And the one dude turns it off. He's like, what's going on, this is ridiculous. And she walks in and she's like, we need to, this. I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna go to the town hall and make some phone calls. And find
they
out
practically put the blame on her, like she was
like
responsible for bringing a square sun into the sky.
Actually, it wasn't her. It was the old mayor that was being a dick. At
the meeting.
Yeah. But
yeah,
the fact that she
they
didn't
ended up having the meeting.
But that guy was sitting right there too, and they're like, she's like, I don't know what's going on, but I'll find out and I'll let you guys all know. Then she's like, we need to hold a town meeting. She tells her husband, like, I need to hold a town meeting. Let's get everybody there at the school and we'll talk about it. And they're like, okay. So,
so at the meeting, everybody she tells them, she's totally upfront with them and says, and they all start laughing. I'm like, are you people this stupid?
Right.
You've got a man that you've seen in person flying around, and you're laughing at the fact that two worlds are merging.
Right.
Thinking that she's making this up.
You know that this guy is an alien. You know that there are other super beings and heroes around. You've seen a super villain that's from the same world as his, but this throws you off? Like, you don't think
this is out of the realm of possibility.
You saw the Bizarro Superman come out of the ground, and you still think it's not possible that there's a second world out there? Come on.
I just looked at the TV and go, fuck it, let them all die.
Well, while all this is going on, and she's getting the business from the old mayor who's trying to make her look bad, and she's kind of fighting him off. Lana Rowe shows up at the farmhouse while Clark is sitting on a hay bale trying to sun himself.
I thought he was pouting.
No, he was just sitting there in the sun. And Jordan actually says, he's like, what's he doing? He's like, he's trying to recharge. He was just sunbathing, trying to absorb solar.
He should have put a towel out on the ground.
He should have just take him to a tanning salon.
Or tanning salon, yeah, tanning bed.
Tanning bed. For a quick charge. But as he's sitting
Make sure to use sunscreen, kids.
Right. As he's sitting there, Jordan hears incoming from Lana Rowe, and she lands right where he was trying to crush him, but he pulled him out of the way, and then she attacks. They get into it a little bit, and then John Henry shows up, because right before he went after his dad, he sent Jonathan in to, go inside where it's safe. I don't know how that's safe.
He sent him. He told him to go inside, but at that point he must have texted John Henry, because he got an alert, and that's what sent him there.
The grandfather was in there. The grandfather was there with his DOD.
Oh yeah, that's true. He was there too.
So he alerted John Henry. John Henry shows up and puts a smackdown on her for a second, and then she's like, "Yeah, I'm not fighting you, both of you. I'm out." And she leaves. This is the point that pissed me off. She takes off. She disappears. Right?
Yeah.
The next scene that we see her, she shows up just as everybody's leaving the school. And she does her superhero landing right outside the school, which, by the way, is very loud on the TV. So I'm not sure how Jonathan didn't hear them land behind him when they landed. But when she did, she landed with John-El as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't see this happen, but she apparently attacked the DOD and broke out John-El.
Yeah.
And in that time, General never heard about it. But he was connected to the DOD the entire time, because he was talking to them while he was connected to the DOD. And I'm like, come on, people. This is not a hard thread to do. At least say something about it. At least have the general say the DOD's under attack. She must have left here and gone straight for the DOD. And then she shows up with John-El. I'm like, okay. He wasn't free. He was in a secure facility that's designed to stop soups. And she just walked in and walked out with him, apparently. But they show up. Not to mention the fact that he's had his powers drained. He has no way of recharging, because he's been in a yellow sun environment for, 3 weeks now? And he comes out into the yellow sun. He still has no yellow sun. He still has no red sun power up. But he's fully charged. He's 100% fully charged. And they go after the families.
You're making me dislike this episode more than I liked it.
It made me mad. It made me mad, because there's so many things that they just bungled that were so easy to have done. Like, why didn't you guys just simple? He was already online with them. All he had to say, the DoD's under attack. That's it. All he would have had to say. And then picked up the phone and made a phone call. And then they could have done exactly what they did with no problem. Because when she lands, you go, oh, she went to the DoD and broke out John-El. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
One statement. That's all the writers would have to do. And that whole thing threw the entire episode off for me. But they get there as everyone is leaving. Everyone just left. Right? Conveniently.
Fortunately.
Just left.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lana Rose shows up, which would have proved the point.
She walks into the school just as Jordan is about to tell Sarah about things, or he's explaining things, but he's not saying exactly what. Yeah. And then
Lana shows
our
up.
Lana shows up behind.
Lana Prime.
Yeah, Lana Prime. She shows up from behind, and she tries to get involved in the conversation, right. But then the other Lana shows up, and he turns around and he's like, get everybody out of here. Or he's like, you guys get out of here. Yeah. And
she's still trying to give him shit. I'm like, the super kid said leave, and you're going to sit there and like give him a hard time about it? And then he turns around with his fire eyes, and they're like, oh, fuck, he's serious, and they run off.
Yeah. So now she knows.
Right.
Now she knows. There's her cue of, well, you got to tell her now.
Yeah.
So they're gone.
Not only that, but you owe Jordan a big apology.
Yeah. So he ends up fighting her for a while in the school, and then the other John-El shows up, and it ends up being a 2-on-1 battle.
Well, he beats up Clark for a little bit. He beats on Clark for a bit first before she shows up because
like I said, it's a 2-on-1 battle.
Jordan's holding his own against Lana Rowe, which I thought was fitting. Like he's getting to understand how to use his powers, and he's being a little bit stronger about using them. So he's fighting her, and they're doing the Scooby-Doo through the walls chasing thing. Mm-hmm. Except they're making their own doors, which I appreciated that whole thing. But then John-El shows up in the auditorium or in the gymnasium where they were holding the town hall, which there's not very many people in that town. And I
don't think everybody showed up. It's like a typical town hall.
He basically beats on Superman for a little bit, who had shown up to stop, and I'm not sure how or why he showed up, but while they were giving her the business about not being
I'll tell you why.
A good mayor, he just kind of shows up there in his outfit, and he's like, I'm Superman, you know me, you trust me.
I'll tell you why.
She's telling the truth.
Exactly for that reason. He knew that she was doing this. I think it was Lois that told him that she was having the town hall meeting. Yeah. So he finally figured out, you know what, if I can't battle them because I don't have my powers, at least I can go and do this and kind of calm the town down. So he goes in there dressed in a suit and affirms that everything that Lana said was correct.
Right.
And so everybody's like, oh, if he's telling us that,
right.
You big dummies.
Well, I think the big thing is like she knows what she's talking about and she's friends with Superman. So they shut down the old mayor like hardcore. And that was the best thing to come out of that whole thing, is that he's not going to be able to talk shit about her anymore. And like, yeah, well, you didn't know Superman. But
yeah,
he never came to your rescue. But while all this is going on, that's when John-El shows up afterwards, and he basically beats on Superman for a while. General Lang tries to stop him. He pulls out his kryptonite gun, which doesn't work on John-El because kryptonite actually powers him. And we saw him use a kryptonite inhaler.
X-kryptonite.
No, just kryptonite. They use kryptonite.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
You saw him blow out the green.
Sorry, I get confused.
Yeah. So, and honestly, to be fair, let me be fair. To be fair. The fact that he has that inhaler kind of fixes a little bit of the fact that he's fully powered. Because if Lana Rose showed up, broke him out, and gave him that inhaler to boost his powers, which is what his dad did to go through the portal, then that gives them a reason to have his full strength back. So I'll give them that point. They did well on that. I just forgot that they had done it. But he shows up, beats up Superman for a little bit, and then Lana Rose and Jordan busts through the walls, and now they're all in the same room. They start just manhandling Jordan because John L. can't take him. Like at the beginning of this, John L. took him with no problem. At this point, he's able to go toe to toe with John L. So he's progressed as well. He's leveled up. And they start fighting. They start fighting it out, and she starts beating the crap out of him. And then in comes Natalie, because just in time, her father's locking her out of her suit saved their lives.
Yeah, he locked her out of the suit because he went into the void to try and stop what's her name,
right?
But he put a timer on it.
Yeah, so she'd be able to protect her new family.
Yeah, and
I'm
then
a little upset, and I'm a little scared that they might be actually getting rid of him. Like, you think?
I don't think
you think they're actually getting rid of him? Like, I was just like, why would they do it this way? Like, I know that they're trying to create some tension, but I'm like, why would they do it like this? Because as he was about to go in, he's like, yeah, what do they call it? Vapor. Like, he does like Operation Vapor Lock, and her suit locked down for like 40 minutes or whatever it was, and he flew into the portal. And he tried to use the same little rocket he used on Superman. So apparently they had another one. And I'm assuming that it was filled with X-Kryptonite, because that's their kryptonite. And he hit her with it, but she just kind of repelled it and managed to fire a bolt at him and knock him effing silly, and then just go right back to pulling the worlds together. I'm like, so unlike every other superhero, she can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time.
Yeah, typically, like if somebody shot Superman with, kryptonite, it would stick in him.
Right.
He couldn't just repeal it, but she can, she can just repeal it and no big deal. It's like a fly buzzing around and she just swatted it away.
Yeah. Like, if you're going to repel something like that, like, do it. Boom. Gone. But don't let it hit you, affect you, and then just ignore it. Like, it's just that... Anyway, moving on. So he's knocked out cold. They lose connection with him. She shows up with the hammer because he's come to the conclusion that the hammer doesn't work against Ali, so he leaves it there conveniently enough. She comes in with the hammer. She hammers down on Lana Rowe, and then she threw the hammer. John L. was like, nope, and dips dodges it, but Jordan grabs the end of it, swings around, and just clocks him one on the side of the head.
I really liked that.
That
move.
was the best part of the episode. I was like, oh, the tag team was right on. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean that was some Marvel stuff there with Cap
his pose at the end of it with the hammer over his shoulder. I was like, you go, Jordan. You go. You deserve
that was some Captain Marvel with Meow Meow. Yeah. I mean that was a move right there. Right. I have to applaud that for as much as grief as we've given the rest of this episode. But they end up getting taken away, so they're in custody.
They're going to the DOD.
And we still don't know when Superman's getting his powers back. We don't know what the status of the Void is. And John Henry's daughter is now considering Clark's family her family as well, because
being that there's only one episode left, he's gonna get his powers back next week.
yeah, that's true. But she's considering them her family now, because now she's lost her dad. It's like, oh well, I guess I'll take you guys as my family, because who else do I got left now?
Right.
So convenience.
Now that this has happened, and she's still kind of begrudgingly. She's really upset that her dad. She can't track her dad. But she's like, he told me to, that you guys are my family and I need to protect you, so I'm here now. And she's like, you can be here whenever you want, sweetie, blah, 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 blah. So she becomes a Kent, and they transition back over to the Langs, or whatever his name is, and they're like, they pull in, and Lana's like, you knew this whole, Sarah's like, you knew, didn't you? You knew before this. And she's like, you tried to tell me and then you shut it down. Like, she's just like, she was kind of backwards tracing to the point where Lana knew what was going on and she never told her. And she's like, you never told me. That's why he was hiding all this. That's why he was being so, standoffish with me, was because of this. And I broke up with him because of this. Like, you never told me that. I was like, you broke up with him, to be fair. You broke up with him before she knew about this. So that was on you.
Yeah, you know
Don't put
what?
that on her. That was on you. You did that.
I don't know if people are really like this, but it's just an irritation to me because it's like they're putting blame on somebody that really shouldn't be. It's like this is your fault. You should.
People do it all the time, dude. That's a
I know,
normal
but
thing.
it's just the fact that it's like, look, obviously there was a reason behind it. This is something huge
Yeah.
that wasn't in her place to tell.
And I think that when they went into the house and she started going in on her about that, she's like, look, you don't understand like the weight and the gravity of what you now know. And that's why we didn't tell you. Like that's why I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell your dad. Like she just needed to tell. Like this was a secret that was mine that wasn't mine to tell. Just like it wasn't mine. Then they needed to tell me, and then they asked me not to tell anybody. I couldn't tell you because I knew it would put you in danger. Like her mom knows what she's talking about, but the girl's just being erratically emotional.
You know what?
Because she's a teenager, and that kind of shows why you shouldn't know what's going on.
Yeah, and also, you know what? The fact that it's all your fault and it's everybody's fault anyway for not being able to tell that Clark Kent is actually Superman. You all are morons.
Superman with glasses is Clark Kent. How have you not figured this out yet?
Yes.
But as they're having this argument, we start seeing that the worlds have gotten so close that they're literally flickering, and the merge is happening, and they're talking about how
it's not a merge.
Change. And it's just a consumption is what it is. Like it's just their world is consuming Prime World, and as it's happening, they walk out into the garage where the dad and the little sister were, and I was like, oh, they're gonna make the little sister disappear. Like that's the first thing I thought. I was like, the little sister's a goner. She's just gonna disappear. Like the merge is gonna make her disappear. And sure enough, they go out there, and it's not the daughter that's missing; it's the dad. And his best dad cup got turned into a square coffee mug that I didn't see what it said on it. But the merge has officially happened because even Superman's like, "What's happened to our house?" He's like, "This isn't our house. This is theirs." And I'm like, "Why is this happening like that? This is stupid."
Yeah. Something else I noticed too, but there was a sign on the wall in the garage that was still written the correct way and not written backwards.
Oh, was there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I did notice that. I'm like, hey, props department forgot something.
Or that's their one nod to the fact that not everything has to change. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's and I really doubt any of that's going to even be touched on in this next episode. I did sort of like this episode until we started talking about it.
For you.
Now I kind of like it less.
It wasn't a bad episode. Like I was very, very in tune into all the things that I feel like they did wrong, and when that happens, like I lose consciousness of the show, and that's a problem because at that point I was so vested on like what could they have done to have made this right that I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to everything else, a little interesting in the rest of the show. But it wasn't a bad episode. I'm not against it. I just think that they did one thing that threw me completely off the story, and at that point I was looking for things, I think, and that becomes distracting in paying attention to what's going on with the story or to like really enjoying the story.
Been there many times.
Yeah, I think that overall it was a pretty good episode. I really do like the fact that they have 100% shown that Jordan has come into his own with his powers. He's not perfect with it. He's not Superboy altogether. But like so many pieces of his puzzle are starting to come together that you're gonna get to see him become, the super kid or whatever you want to. I don't know what they're gonna call him. But one prediction that I think might possibly happen, I actually think that John L. and Jonathan are going to merge, but Jonathan is going to win out, and that's gonna break the story. So like where they're saying, oh well, they're merging with us, and then we just cease to exist. I think that he's gonna force his way into merging with him, and when that happens, it's gonna break, and he's gonna get superpowers because he's merged with John L.
Right.
And John L's gonna cease to exist, and he's gonna become. Then they're gonna have all three of them have their powers. That's one way that I think they can give him his powers and still have it be consistent with what's going on in the story, but then allow them to reverse motion in that one instance by just making that one change will allow them to then have everybody break what's going on with the merged worlds.
Or that one instance is what breaks the entire thing and causes the whole merging to stop.
Right. The other thing but what I don't want them to do is I don't want them to Deus Ex Machina John Henry. So John Henry is out of the picture at the moment. We don't know what's going on with him. There's only one episode left, unless they're planning on making him a victim of this whole situation and never be seen again. They're gonna have him come to and just destroy Ali Alston and save the day, and I don't want to see that happen. Like, I want, for some reason, for Superman to get his powers back, which I don't know how they're going to do that quick in one episode. But, and then go in and maybe the two of them take her out and show that teamwork makes the dream work, just like Nat and Jordan did, and then that way they can take her out that way. But I don't know. I just hope that they don't make him like, oh, da, 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 and he wins the day and they're all good then. So we'll see what happens.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see next week. And that's going to do it for this video. We do want to thank you for watching. On behalf of Vic.
That's me.
I'm Corey. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.
See ya.